Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got another one for you. It is Wednesday night here in Thailand. What time of the world and where the hell are each and every one of you? I'd like to know that. Please let me know in the comment section. We got a special one for you tonight. We were featured on CoinDesk today. Well, not Paid Network, but Master Ventures. And we're bringing on a special guest, managing partner of the Master Ventures and Polkadot Ecosystem Fund. And his name is Orion. He will be on with us very, very shortly. Let's make this a fun one tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Ask me any questions that you might think of, whatever you might have to say, whatever is on your minds. Let's get wild tonight and talk about anything that might be on your mind, whether it's paid, Master Ventures, Kyle Chasse, whatever the hell you want to chat about. Let's get into it. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me here. I'm waiting for Orion to hop on. He'll be on probably quite shortly, and we'll introduce you to him. If you didn't see the news today, we were featured in CoinDesk and talking about Master Ventures, the parent company from Paid Network, how we're launching this $30 million Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem fund. So that's exciting, and it all benefits the paid ecosystem at the end of the day. Especially with the news that I dropped last week, how it's not news that paid is going to become a Polkadot parachain and Kusama parachain. But it is, was news that we were, aiming to be the layer one infrastructure, for people to be building applications on top of, to leverage the full security and scalability and speed of Polkadot and not be bogged down by, all the Ethereum fees and the slow transactions that we have. So, we have a really tremendous ecosystem. As you guys probably know, that we advise a lot of different projects, and we can encourage them, to build on top of paid chain instead of building on whatever else they might be building on top of Ethereum, or in Polkadot's case, it's Moonbeam or Plasm or whatever else. So that's a little bit about that. Let's see. What else is going on? So. Yeah, a lot of, from what I talked about last week was development, and we're still doing a lot of those things. We should be launching the pool on pancake swap. I don't know exactly when, but it should be before the next AMA. Yeah. Okay. Let me let's see what kind of questions. So, what is the paid chain? So I just talked about that a little bit. But basically, paid chain is paid is going to become a layer one infrastructure. Having a Polkadot parachain, people can build their applications just like you would on top of Ethereum or Cardano or whatever. On Polkadot itself, you cannot build applications on top of Polkadot. You can't. You need to build them on top of, if Polkadot is essentially, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a layer 0 or a layer 1, but the layer on top of Polkadot needs to be that infrastructure layer, that parachain layer, or to be more technically correct, it needs to be that substrate based. So it could be a parathread. It doesn't have to be a parachain. And so paid chain will basically become, the entire ecosystem of all the projects that Master Ventures is involved with, so anyone who, that we start incubating, or the projects that we build, there's a project that Master Ventures started working on in early 2019 that the technology is basically ready to go. And this is going to be, one of the paid chain products, that's building on top of paid chain. So and then we have, a lot of other people that are interested in what we're doing and interested in potentially, launching on paid chain. So think about paid now, not just as a dApp, but as a layer one, and it would be the equivalent, and this is by no means what our intention is, but when someone says something like an ETH killer, that basically just meaning that people can choose to build their application on top of something like Ethereum or paid, for example. And if by all means, we're not the only ones doing this, right? There's plenty of other infrastructure projects on Polkadot doing the same thing. I just think where we have an advantage is the ecosystem that we've built already. I've been in the space for 9 years, and advising projects and building forever. So we come across a lot, and yeah, it's been fun. So it's funny that people join the AMA just to talk crap. Your company coin is crap. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ramil. It's very nice. What a compliment. Let's see. I wonder if I can see if I have. I'm trying to see if how do I see if I have someone backstage or not? I have no idea. Anyway, okay, so let's get into some questions. How many paid is a maximum tier for Apollo X? I don't know the answer to this. I don't know the answer to this. I'll have to get the Apollo X team on, and maybe that's something that we can do. Maybe next week or something like that. Maybe we get some of the guys from the Apollo X team on to talk about Apollo X. Maybe that's a good idea. Let me just make a quick note about that. Sorry guys, just bear with me for a second. Okay, got it. All right. Yeah, what do I think about Raise Network? So it's a good question. I am an advisor, have been helping them out. Raise was something that I was hesitant to get involved with because it's an anonymous team, and so it's definitely not something that I wanted to publicly support. Or to talk about a lot until I saw product being built and developed and coming to market. I spoke with the team quite a bit, and after looking at their GitHub, and realizing that they're actually building quite a bit, and it's a very smart team, I decided that we would make an investment into the project and that I would support them and go to market. But because of the anonymity, and just because I do not want to, it's one thing for me to take a little bit of a gamble, a risk into an investment, but it's another thing completely to talk about something publicly or promote it to my community when there is a small chance or a chance at all that that the project could disappear or something, because it is an anonymous team, and to be honest, I don't even know who the founders of the project are. So that's why I haven't talked about it a lot. I have high hopes for the project. I know that a lot of people I trust in the space have vouched for them. I'm a big advocate of privacy. Really excited about privacy networks, and I want to support them because I think that as the world becomes more controlling, as we get more central bank digital currencies and more regulation, it's going to be harder and harder to protect our individual financial sovereignty. And I think privacy protocols and privacy infrastructure is really important for those of us who wish to keep our finances private. So I am a supporter of Raise, but that's the reason why I don't talk about it very much. And if they're producing and if they start delivering product that's useful, of course, I will be much more outspoken about them. Can I comment on the paid price? No, not really. I don't think I legally can, other than I mean, all I can tell you is I will make a general statement about the price of any project, really, right? So this is driven by market conditions, and I could get a little bit more specific and talk to you about the price of, let's say, launch pads in general. And launch pads, all got hit with the market correction quite bad, because when a market corrects and people lose liquidity, they're not really looking to invest. They're looking to protect whatever kind of liquidity or assets they have left. So people go into a bit of a protective mode versus an aggressive investment mode. So, I can't say much about the price other than, you're here. You guys, a lot of you come here every single, Wednesday for this AMA to get up to date on what we've got going on. And I think that's important for you to understand, my philosophy on investments, what I've done from the beginning of time, in my career in crypto has been, find high quality projects with unique value propositions, with excellent teams that I believe are building something that is going to be adopted one day by the world. I believe that cryptocurrency and blockchain are something that are more efficient than legacy systems. And so when you find a project that, is building something really, really unique and disruptive, you're better off, in my opinion, or I shouldn't say you're better off, but in my opinion, I'm better off, holding that token through, even if it's through bear market, it corrects, 95%. Like same thing with Elrond and, Ultra and Thor Chain, these other projects that I invested back in 2018. People just thought they were completely obliterated, in the bear market. But the fact of the matter is that they, they kept building and they've got solid fundamentals, and look where they are today. I saw Orion in the waiting room a little bit. Now he's gone. Let's see if he comes back in. Hey Kyle, are you recommending selling our paid creator coins for Apollo X creator coins, seeing that it will provide ideal locations where currently paid does not? This is a hard question to answer, and I think that it's technically investment advice, and so therefore I can't tell you what to do, with your assets. But just in the true spirit of, and paid is actually, because we're introducing paid chain, paid will actually start creating our Kusama version of paid, just like, Moonbeam has Moon River, Akala has Karura, things like that. All of these projects have their Polkadot version, and then they will have their Kusama version, and paid will as well. We haven't thought of our name for it yet, so feel free to drop any suggestions down in the comments. But anyway, I really appreciate the thought process that went through, in creating the whole Polkadot ecosystem, from the Kusama, Canary network to the main network. And in a lot of ways, that's the whole purpose of Apollo X. And, if you've seen some of my earlier AMAs, when I first started talking about BitClout and how bullish I was on BitClout, and how, one idea of a way to use BitClout would be the fact that you could, buy creator coins on BitClout for a project. And if you have, let's say, one creator coin from, paid network or Apollo X, whatever, you could get guaranteed allocations, for example. That's just an example. It's not exactly, we haven't thought this out through yet, but again, because BitClout is still controversial, even though it's becoming significantly less every single day, the fact that it's open source code right now, the nodes are open for development, that you can now buy BitClout with fiat. There's so much going on over there that just proves more and more legitimacy to the platform. But with that being said, because there still is no legitimate proper exchange off-ramp, I still do not want to promote or encourage anybody to use the BitClout platform for ignition IDOs. However, with that being said, the Apollo X platform, I'm only involved in some of the aspects over there, and they asked me if this is something that we could do, and I think it is in the spirit of Kusama to go ahead and test something out like this. And so the answer is that yes. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be structured yet, but there is going to be some type of incorporation with BitClout Creator Coins and an Apollo X, but it's not something that is going to be huge or some. I don't know. It could be yet, but it's total experiment. No guarantees, no expectations. Proceed at your own risk. Okay. I hope as well. I recently picked up a bit more paid. Congratulations, well done. And now have an extra lottery ticket. Congratulations, well done again. Do I need to inform you, or is it's automatically calculated? So every time that you whitelist, you submit your ERC20 address that's associated with your pay tokens, and that's it. And then we just calculate it from there. So you don't have to do anything; just accumulate, and we'll automatically do it. Okay, I'm gonna break this up for a little bit. Orion just joined. He's back. He's backstage. So I'm gonna bring him on just to do a little introduction. Just so you know, Orion and I go back over a decade. We've been friends for a very long time, and I'll let him jump in and do a bit of introduction and tell you a little bit more about the fund that we're about to launch. So let's bring him in. Orion, what's happening, man?
What's happening, Kyle? How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super early over here, but excited to be on my first AMA. Hi, Mom. I'm on Kyle's webcam show. My name is Orion Depp. I'm the managing partner of the Master Ventures Investment Management Division and Master Ventures Polkadot VC Fund. And as Kyle told you, I first became friends with him in about 2010, about 10 years ago, when I was the CEO of an online tech investment bank and VC, which we took to about $22 million in revenue in our first year. Kyle used to ask me lots of business questions, and little did I know that he would become the monster that he is today. But he and I kept in touch over the years. I've learned a lot. I started out as a dev intern for Apple when I was 17 years old and did my MBA in investment management from a top school, and went on to work at a $1 billion hedge fund, shorting stocks, finding holes in business models, and performing forensic accounting research in order to create consistent alpha and returns within the fund management industry. And in 2017, per Kyle's advice, I went full crypto. I became one of the first sell-side altcoin analysts in the nation, initiating coverage on the Binance coin, BNB, at $6 with a price target of $100, and went on to cover Vcash, Decred, VeChain, many more. So about 6 months ago, Kyle called me and said, hey, I'd like you to join what I'm doing here, Master Ventures, because we've created great returns for our private capital, and now we want to do it for other people. So he explained that we wanted to start doing this with this amazing new blockchain that would develop into potentially 100 blockchains, eliminate gas fees, and touch all aspects of humanity. One that was founded by the founder of the Web3 and co-founder of Ethereum named Gavin Wood, and it's called Polkadot. So Kyle and I talked, and we thought about, what else do we want to do in addition to making money? And we thought, number one, we want to give back to our supportive community of Paid and the Ignition platform. We wanted to give them, and potentially for ourselves, returns very similar to IDO returns, but more so for a deployment of much larger amounts of capital. We also wanted to help them sleep at night. We all know how bad volatility is by directly investing in the crypto markets. We want to help our investors live better lives. And lastly, as Kyle always does, he wants to do something groundbreaking and revolutionary, and this fund is no different. So let's jump in and talk about Polkadot and the fund. Polkadot, as you already know, is a blockchain that's far superior to almost anything we've seen before. Its unique relay chain and parachain design will result in not one, but up to 100 blockchains in the next year. Its cross-chain interoperability with bridges and the EVM and its ease of programming development allow for a much stronger and united development community, which we think will grow virally and fast. And the Polkadot parachain auction design and Master Ventures, we think that this design benefits from unprecedented market dynamics. In only a matter of a few weeks, Polkadot's Kusama is going to start conducting parachain auctions. And high-profile projects like Akala, Karura, Moonbeam, Moonriver, and Plasm will buy tens of millions of dollars of Kusama in order to win parachain slots, in order to guarantee their financial success. So these chains will ask funds like ours to lend them Kusama, which we paid back to us 100%, and potentially as well airdrop to us 100% for free through native tokens on their blockchains. So this is very similar to the private sale and the IDO process that you see today in the markets, in the crypto markets, except that many of these tokens are not going to be readily available to the investment community until they're already traded on Binance or Polkaswap, which is the Uniswap, but for Polkadot. So we think that Akala, Karura, Moonbeam, Moonriver, and Plasm could potentially be the next Compound, Aave, and Ethereum. Who knows? It's early. And at Master Ventures, we believe we have the experience, the expertise, the infrastructure, and the team to execute this strategy better, as good, or better than anyone on the street. We've been building in-house and readying our paid network and its division's launchpads for build on DOT and Kusama since day one. We've been investing in the ecosystem, projects like Reef, Split, and others within Web3. We have access to proprietary deal flow, and we have access to proprietary exit vehicles via Ignition and its upcoming new platforms. So that's who we are in Master Ventures Investment Management and the Polkadot VC Fund. I'll give you a few quick teasers before we talk about the details, but we'll be running a webinar in about a week, which goes much more comprehensive. Our strategy, the Polkadot VC Fund, is obviously number one, to fund parachain bids and the slots, fund these projects. Number two, it's to opportunistically invest in the DOT and Kusama ecosystem and other crypto projects and help them IDO via platforms such as Ignition. It's a, in terms of size, it's a $30 million fund with a $100,000 minimum. We cannot accept less. That's up to regulation, and it is a highly regulated industry. It's first come, first serve for qualified participants only. And as a special kicker, Kyle will tell you more about in the webinar next week, but this is very special, so listen up. For larger investors of $500,000 or more, we will try to help them co-invest in our proprietary deal flow via specific allocation pools or direct SAFTs. So again, this is something that's never been done before in the fund management industry. And as a quick disclaimer, this fund is not available to U.S. investors. We're sorry, but the regulations simply prohibit this. We are looking to do this in the near future if allowed. And as another disclaimer, this is obviously not a solicitation to buy or sell an investment. All investment decisions need to be made by reviewing the fund's marketing deck, term sheet, and its subscription agreement. And past performance or returns of Kyle's invested capital or Master Ventures are not indicative of future performance. So that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. If you're interested in finding out more about the Master Ventures Polkadot VC Fund or the Master Ventures Investment Management Division, Kyle will share a link that goes to the fund website, which you could also fill out a form, and we'll send you the deck, term sheet, subscription agreement in approximately 1 week. And you can also follow Kyle on Twitter, obviously, or myself on Twitter. And we'll post the links right there. And if any of you want to reach out to me about business development, the easiest way is via LinkedIn. I'm a little bit old school, so just go to the fund website and you'll see my LinkedIn. Add me, connect with me, and we'll talk. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for your support, and look forward to talking with all of you. And thanks for having me, Kyle.
No problem, man. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, there's a couple of questions. Just one question here. When is the Polkadot fund coming live?
It should be in approximately 1 week. We can start accepting capital, give or take. There are a few final things, but you can go ahead and go to the website and find out all about it right now.
Okay. I think that's okay. So I think, guys, maybe Orion, if you could just drop some in the comments, maybe just answer some questions while I keep doing the AMA. There's some questions here that people are asking, like how do we invest in it, and email address and these kind of things. So if you can just go in there and answer those questions, and I'll get back to some of the other questions that we got going on here.
Okay. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Ryan. Cheers. Okay. All right. So let's get back into it. Let me see if there's any other questions, Rick. So Square, okay, so hey, Kyle and Orion, I saw Square's Capital popping up in many Ignition projects, and even Orion mentioned them in a tweet. I'm just wondering who they are since they just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Square's Capital is just, it's a group of private investors, and they are just awesome with the value that they contribute to projects. So I'll give you a little bit of inside information about, just how, when we help projects go to market, what are some of the things that we try to help them with? One of them is, in a bull market, it's very easy for projects to raise money. What's not so easy is making sure that the investors are value add strategic investors. And so we want to make sure that when a project is accepting funds from somebody, that they're going to contribute strategic value. And so Square's Capital is someone that does do that. They come in, they help, with community management, designs, things like that. And that's just, it's, for a lot of you who are watching, it's quite easy. Like we have a guy, who I work with on almost every single project, Vijesh. And, when Vijesh first came to me, he didn't have like hardly any money at all. And, didn't really have too much that he could offer to projects other than his incredible gifts, memes, and sticker packs. And, Vijesh didn't come to me asking for anything at first. He came to me and just gave me a bunch of cool memes and gifts that like no one else had created yet. And as a, someone who's coming to market, a new project founder, like it's really entertaining, one, to see your face on these funny bobblehead, like meme gifts things, but two, that's the kind of thing that communities appreciate. And so, I always try to encourage for people, if you want to try to get involved in projects, go to the team and try to give them something of value, that you can offer them without asking for anything, and if they appreciate it, they might want, to get you involved more. And the story of Vijesh is that, he offered me these, these gifts and memes, and then, asked if he can get involved in the private sale for paid network. And I said, yeah, of course, man, this is amazing. Thank you for your help. And, that investment from Vijesh and paid network, did extremely well, really changed his life around. And yeah, that's the story of Vijesh. And just, if you want to get involved and you really like believe in a project, you like it a lot, go in there and try to offer some value to them. And that might get you through the door. So, hey, Kyle, it sounds like Master Ventures is where the returns are at, and Ignition is a platform to offload these projects. Do you see any moral hazard here? I don't quite understand your question. Sounds like Master Ventures is where the returns are. So basically, there's been like my strategy and thesis for Ignition has always been the same. It has always been the fact that I have had access to what I think is incredible deal flow, high quality deals that the average person, cannot get into. And these are projects that I'm investing into. And so Ignition is just a platform that gives access to these deals that people could not have otherwise gotten access to. And it offers it to the paid community, so, these are projects that, we don't charge anything on Ignition. Ignition doesn't charge anything. A lot of other IDO platforms will charge a fee. We don't have a fee. Our upside is, we often invest in a lot of these projects, that are launched on Ignition. and we have a aligned interest of seeing that project do well. And I'm not someone that dumps my tokens. You can go ask anybody, any of the projects that we've invested into. I never dump my tokens. I as you guys, if you watch my channel, if you watch this AMA, you know that my strategy is always, identify great quality projects, deploy capital into them, and hold it for a while. And I did that, in 2017 and 18. And yeah, a lot of them didn't come back, but the ones that made it through, more than made up for, the losses that I had from other investments. And I don't even think that they were really losses. At the worst case, they basically broke even, or, to what I paid for them. So, basically, yeah, I don't see, I think that the way that we set this up is completely aligned, with everything basically. Looks like decentralized web projects like Akash and EOS are not getting much attention. Is it too early for these projects, in your opinion? I just think it's too early in general. Like you can't, go to, like, other than Shiba Inu, even Shiba Inu, but took several, like 6 months or something to get, or 5 months to get off the ground. But look at any project that's in like the top 100 and see if they, if they've been in the top 100 for more than 2 or 3 weeks. Look at when did they launch. You can't expect projects to just launch and go straight to top 100 and stay there. It takes time for the community to trust and enough capital to come in, and these projects have to actually deliver and have adoption. So, EOS just got started a couple months ago. To get to where I believe that they belong, which is like a top 20 project, it's going to take some time, and it might take a year from now, it might be sooner, it might take 2 years. It's hard to tell, but I wouldn't worry. I try to tell you guys time and time again on these AMAs to really not look at price short term, especially don't pay attention to price when we have huge corrections like this. Nothing is a true reflection of that project's quality. It's all speculation. And, you just have, it's really you're doing yourself a disservice. You might exit out of a great project because, well, it's not performing excellent in the first couple of months, but you're sure going to be missing out if that project is a 500x, next year. So yes, it's too early. Will all the Polkadot projects be only launched on Ignition using paid network coins, not the new ones? Will all the Polkadot projects be only launched on Ignition using paid network coins, not the new ones? I don't understand this question. I don't understand this question. Paid will not have any new tokens. The Kusama version of paid will have new tokens, Kusama version of them. But we haven't figured out the tokenomics of those yet, and I don't know if we're selling any of those or just airdropping them, or what. So, yeah, not yeah. How do we invest in your fund? You can invest in the fund if you just go to master.ventures / funds, FUNDS. You can see the information page, and I believe there's a registration link there. And I believe on Tuesday around the same time as this AMA, we're going to be doing a webinar to go into more in depth about the fund. And then by next week, we should be able to start accepting capital and deploying, a week or two after that, which will be, buying up Kusama and DOT. And and start getting even more integrated into the Parity, Web3, Polkadot, and Kusama ecosystems. What is the benefit of you lending DOT to the PLO instead of us doing it directly? You can do it direct. You can do it directly. Absolutely. So you can, and you should. You know, they're usually typically open to anybody. So you definitely can. But and we'll talk about more in depth of the Master Ventures Fund on the webinar. But it's not just we're going to have about 60% of the funds that we raise invested into KSM and DOT for the PLOs or the crowd loans. The other 40% will go into direct investments. And that's something that's quite unique that not everybody can get into. So, you know, all the private sale deals that we get access to, if you're invested in the fund, then you get access to these deals through investing into the fund. So that's really the big upside and what makes it quite unique that you cannot do as an individual. Usually it's incredibly difficult to get into, you know, these tier one projects into the seed or private sales. And this is something that, you know, being part of the fund will give you access to indirectly or directly, actually. Page should make also a crowd KSM loans. I'm sure many people community. Yes, we intend on it. That's it's our intention for sure. To do a crowd loan on Kusama with paid for sure. What is Split doing? I just had a call with Cyrus this morning. You know, again, people like I was reading some comments on their Twitter. People are like, you know, 50% negative, and that's kind of shitty. I've been working with Cyrus since 2018, and they're doing big things. They're right now in the you know, getting submitted into the Substrate Builders program. They're also going for Parachain. They have some really big celebrity partnerships lined up. They are doing some type of deals with really huge retailers to give some priority access through these things, these NFTs, and there's just a lot going on with Split. And yeah, in my opinion, it's incredibly undervalued at the moment. I haven't sold one of my ShopX tokens. I have no intention on doing that for years. When is Apollo X going to launch its first project? It should be in about, I would say, I think about 3 weeks or so. Hey Kyle, a few questions. Did Master Ventures directly invest in projects going on Apollo X? If one day paid, we'll do advertising in New York, Miami on public transport, future partnerships, famous law firms. So did paid direct invest? We will likely. So we still have to, you know, so Master Ventures, myself, us, we still have to sign off on projects that go on Apollo X. And yeah, we will also invest in them as well. Will we do advertising on public transportation in New York or Miami? It's a very specific and interesting question. Well, of course, you know, that would be most applicable to the paid DApp for business agreements. I'm not sure that we would do them on public transportation. I think that's quite old school, and I don't think it's a very cost-effective way to do advertising. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but I think that we'll use a lot of digital marketing, you know, on the internet and try to, you know, leverage all these kind of traditional marketing things, right? Because when we get the paid dApp out, this is something that we want the world to adopt, not just crypto people. So it is a valid question. We want to appeal and attract masses outside of crypto Twitter and things like that. So of course we have to do mainstream advertising. So will it be on public transportation? Probably not. Will it maybe be on a commercial on TV one day? Maybe. I don't know, or definitely YouTube advertising, things like that. And future partnerships with famous law firms, I don't know. We've gotten a lot of inbound inquiries about from law firms. I don't know about famous law firms. I don't even know any famous law firms, to be honest with you. Because paid is kind of the anti-law firm and the anti-courtroom. Our goal is to get away from lawyers and courtrooms, or at least work with them, right? Because there is this idea that maybe that if attorneys don't just write contracts, they do a lot of other things. They advise, help structure entities, things like that. So there's there is this idea that law firms would suggest to their clients to be using something like paid for their business deals that they know would be better mediated on something like paid versus the traditional courtroom. So these are all things that we're going to have to look into, and it's going to be very, very interesting once we have the paid dApp ready to go, and our entire team switches focus to that. Right now it has been focused completely on what will keep attention on paid network in the interim, and that has been launch pads. And I still believe that this was a little bit of a correction here, or big correction anyway, but I still believe that we're just in the prime of the bull market. I still think we have a long way to go still. And I think that, once altcoin season picks up and that we have a lot more, a lot more, parabolic growth, I still think that it's going to create a tremendous amount of buy pressure for paid, having multiple launch pads, the Chinese one, Apollo X, Ignition. And I think that's good. And we're implementing, staking on all three launch pads, and they will all require, if you want to participate in all three launch pads, you need to stake paid on all three launch pads. So that's theoretically 3 times the buy pressure than just Ignition alone. And additionally, we're creating, the staking will be, time bound. So, we're also implementing the technology from DAO Maker, the toll bridge technology, right? So if you stake your paid tokens for 3 years to get 3 times as many lottery tickets into Ignition, and something happens and you wanted to unstake them all, but you committed to 3 years, you can unstake some, but it's going to be a heavy penalty. And those paid tokens that are unstaked prematurely, a lot of them will be burnt as a penalty for unstaking early. So we'll have this burning mechanism built into paid as well, that will make the supply quite deflationary. Price crash on many IDOs and missed on paid, so I was able to enter a near IDO price. How wonderful! Same goes for paid price. I average up and down, slow, steady wins the race. Yep. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Glad that you can get in some good buying opportunities. Take advantage of these corrections. The famous saying is, be greedy when people are fearful, be fearful when people are greedy. And I couldn't agree with that more. If you're taking advantage of buying up high quality projects when they're at a severe discount, that's the best thing that you can do. People were, when paid's at $5, people were wishing they could have got it at $2, and then now that it's below $1, people are afraid to buy it, but it's so weird, the psychology behind people. It's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? When it was at $60,000, people would have killed to get it at $50,000 or $45,000. But now that it's at $37,000, nobody wants to touch it. It just makes no sense. So, one thing that I've learned to be successful in this market, you need to basically do the opposite of whatever the market sentiment is. Don't take that as like, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, it typically holds true, and if you look at statistics from like Glassnode and things like that, you can see that all the whales have been buying up Bitcoin since the dump, and you can see that the same whales that were selling, thousands of Bitcoins in the market to crash a price also started buying it back up once the price had crashed. So, pay attention to what's going on in the market, and try not to get too emotionally attached, and remember the fundamental kind of rules that people talk about, and that will go a long way. If you can emotionally disconnect yourself from the decisions that you make when you're investing, it'll be a lot healthier than panic selling or FOMO buying. Those things are very dangerous. Kyle, is paid going to be left behind while Cardano launchpads take the front stage? No, like I talked about this on last week too. There is no Cardano launchpad, to be clear, right? Whatever they're called, Card Starter and OCAM, they're not Cardano launchpads, right? They are Ethereum launchpads that tell you that they're going to be launching Cardano projects. So they're not, and so like, careful when you're, and maybe they do well at first because a lot of people, just can't put two and two together to realize that they're not Cardano launchpads. They just have the name it's associated with it. But I can assure you that, we are going to be a multi-chain launchpad. So, when it makes sense for Ignition to offer Cardano native launches, we will do that. Same thing with other protocols. We will be a multi-chain, launchpad. It just doesn't make sense for us to falsely advertise the fact that we're a Cardano launchpad when nobody can launch a Cardano token right now because they don't exist. The Cardano equivalent of an ERC20 doesn't exist right now. So, so I don't think that we're going to get left behind. I'm quite confident in the projects that we have launched, and I'm quite confident that when we start to see the run up in altcoins, a lot of the projects that were launched on Ignition are going to see big gains. And I think that people will realize the thought process and selection that we put in, for the projects that we launched, were high quality picks. Yeah. True. This is true. If you're not buying paid on dollar, you will die poor. Hey, Kyle, can someone get into the crypto industry without any dev knowledge? It's a great question. A great question. And of course, I don't have dev knowledge. You know what I mean? I've never developed a thing. I've architected things, I've built things, I've imagined things, but I've never coded anything before. But I tell people this a lot. Like, you don't even have to be a blockchain expert to get into the crypto industry. I know artists who are killing it, being crypto artists. And I'm not talking about shitty NFTs where people are trying to sell red pixel for $1 million or something. I'm talking about artists that are actually creating art, and selling it at like crypto conferences and stuff. That's a good example of someone who probably doesn't know how to code, creating art and getting in the industry. I know photographers that go to crypto events and take pictures and sell them to people. I know people who like to throw parties, who either organize conferences or organize parties at conferences. And that's what they like to do. They've been party planners or whatever for their whole life, and they like the crypto vibe. And so they wanted to get involved, and they just started doing it. And the same thing they've been doing, in crypto. So this applies for everything, you know. If you're an attorney, you can be a crypto attorney, right? If you know, whatever. If you're a project manager, pretty much anything that you've been doing for any company, like you can probably do that in crypto as well. So I'm glad, Jay, that you are interested in it. And I think that it's probably one of the best things that you could do in your life. It's such a fun industry to be involved in. Everybody is so optimistic and everyone's trying to, you know, make the world a better place and make it more efficient. And it's a different way of working typically. You know, Master Ventures, Paid, our ecosystem is dramatically different than any type of you know, corporate structure that people worked to before. You know, people here don't clock in, they don't clock out. You know, everyone is responsible adults and they're expected to do their work. And you know, and the few times that people haven't been done, you know, they've been let go. But you know, it's a you know, and our vibe is very like family oriented, and I think it goes. I've seen that you know, in a lot of other crypto projects. So it's a really nice space to be in, and I do encourage, you know, everyone to go full-time crypto. It's literally the best thing that you know, best professional decision, career decision I've ever made in my entire life. You know, before crypto, I was doing regenerative medicine, anti-aging, and I love that. You know, I'm so passionate about that, and I want that to be part of the ethos of House of Dao, is to, you know, build superhumans and do stem cells and things like that to make us live forever, and, you know, become AI and all this stuff. And you know, but I sold my company in 2013 to buy Bitcoin because I was obsessed with you know, where I thought this industry was going, and I'm so glad I made that decision because I'm obsessed with it, you know, and it's very addicting. You know, that's why we're building House of DAO, because people in crypto want to hang out with other people in crypto, and really we don't want to hang out with anybody else, you know. Hey, Kyle, with slowdowns in the markets, how long do you think it will take for the confidence to get back to pre-dump levels? It's a great question. You know, there's the reason for the dump, you know, seems to have been some type of coordinated manipulative efforts. And there's some, you know, some conspiracy theories that it came out of, you know, one firm in China. I don't know if this is true or not, but it certainly seemed coordinated. But usually with these coordinated attacks, it's an attack and it kind of, you know, and then it's over, you know, and they move on. So whoever, you know, created this type of FUD and sell pressure, I feel like now they're done. I also feel like they're buying back up right now. And I think what it's going to take is, I think it's just going to take a little bit of upward trajectory to kind of break out of this sideways moving pattern that we've been at for like a week now or longer. You know, so I think, you know, I feel like once we break 40,000, we're going to see some good upward trajectory. And I'm still bullish that by the end of the year, we're going to be, you know, I still think that we're definitely going to be over 100K by the end of the year for sure. And I think that halfway through next year, we'll be, you know, heading toward 300K. Kyle, is it project to launch? Is it possible to launch Cardano projects or ADA projects in the future? Yeah. Yeah. So I talked about that earlier. Definitely we will, you know, we will be multi-chain, and if there's demand, we will facilitate it. Kyle, you talked about BitCloud a lot, even though it was anonymous. Yeah, that's true. I did. It's true. I did. I had enough evidence from people that that I trusted, that invested into BitCloud. You know, big companies like Arlington, XRP, and Huobi that I confirmed with, you know, that had invested in them. And certainly, you know, they know the founders. And I took that as, as diligence. So it's a bit of a different case, and I believe your comment is referring to Raise versus BitClout, and I just think that they're in a different category. I think that BitClout really has a possibility, like, to be a legitimately adopted social media app. It's very, very, very difficult for that to happen, and I think that BitClout could be that that game changer. What do we think about Orion? Will I list on Orion? Can we list on Orion? Is Orion an exchange? I don't think it's an exchange, right? I like Orion. Cal, the co-founder, is a good friend of mine. But I don't know if we can list. Is it an exchange? It's not an exchange, right? So. All right, so I went back to the beginning. Now I'm going to go back to the end a little bit. When are parachain auctions going to start? So if you haven't checked out my YouTube video I made like 2 or 3 days ago on Polkadot and Kusama, definitely go check that out. I talk about some of the recent blog posts that Gavin has posted talking about how Kusama parachains are set to roll out very soon, and I mean, like, within this month for sure, probably even sooner, within the next week or two. And then in the article, he goes on to say that Polkadot parachains should also be rolling out, potentially just several weeks after that. So, I would expect, definitely this month to be the month of Kusama, and maybe next month, to see some. I don't think Polkadot will roll out the following month, though. I think Kusama is going to be around for a little while. I think that probably we won't see Polkadot parachains rolling out for 2, 3, 4 months or something. But I do think that we'll see Kusama ones start to roll out this month. Kyle, where do I see paid Dot and Kusama in 2 years from now? Huge. I can't adopt it. I don't know. I can't give you I am very bullish on all three of them, obviously. I can only control the fate of one, but I'm also confident that Dot and KSM are going to be huge, massive. I think Dot will be in 2 years, if we're still in a bull market by then, I think Dot will be a multi-trillion-dollar asset, and I think that Kusama will be maybe 30% smaller than Dot in value. That's my guess. Just tuning in to say, you rock, Kyle. Love your YouTube videos. Is the behind the scenes video still a thing? The behind the scenes video. So I think that maybe you're referring to the Saturday sessions, or the kind of, I don't know what you're referring to, but so there's a funny story, and I don't have time to tell it right now, but basically we had to put the Saturday sessions on hold for a little bit. It's a bit of a complicated issue that has been resolved, and so I think that we'll probably kick that off soon. And so if any of you aren't familiar with what Sven is saying or whatever, my media content. So what I would like to do is, do 3, 4 informational or informative videos a week, 1 AMA, and 1 lifestyle type of video where, on a Saturday, because usually, we work, extremely hard Monday through Friday, and usually half day on Saturday. But then we usually head out and do something fun on Saturday, and then Sunday is kind of a day of rest. And so, on Saturday, we just kind of show you what we like to do here. We live on an island, and there's lots of fun things to do and see, and we try to take advantage of the location and where we're of all the things in where we're located. So, yeah, definitely it's on the plan, on the horizon. you know, that's part of the allure of House of DAO, was to show everybody why we believe people will love to be here with us, you know. So yeah, thanks, man. Smash the likes, please. Smash the likes. 215 watching, 92 likes. Come on, there should be 215 likes. Come on, come on, let's get it. We're building half of House of Meow. Okay, that's you with your 18 cats. Yeah, that's nice though. That's cool. Maybe you can incorporate. Maybe House of Meow exists within House of DAO in your game. Paid token works in Apollo X. Yes. So so we will have, you know, 3 launch pads: Ignition, Apollo X, and Ignition China, and all of them will be using paid token, which means theoretically we should have 3 times the demand for paid tokens. Yes. Kyle, then why don't you bring that dream of yours into crypto world? What dream are you referring to? Maybe, sorry, maybe ask your question when I don't remember which dream you're referring to. Coming from a design background and aping into crypto, great. Sander, I mean, people need design like no other. I mean, you know, what kind of design do you do? If you do web design, please feel free to send us a email. I don't know, where should they send it? You could send it to Jessica, our CMO, Jessica at master.ventures. And you can also copy our head of HR, which is Anya, ANJA, at master.ventures as well. And that goes for, you know, yeah, and if any of you guys can contribute like significant value, and really if anyone knows any Rust developers, that's what we're also looking for, but also web designers, like really kick-ass, amazing, brilliant web designers. We need, if you are an exceptional web designer and you have availability immediately, please email us. That would be fantastic. All right, guys, coming up here to an hour. I still have more calls and work to do tonight. Can you list some of your investment mistakes? Please give specific examples. Kyle, can you list some of your investment mistakes? Please give some specific examples. Yeah, I mean, I've invested in scams, but this is, you know, scams before. Not a lot, but one of them recently, because they could back in like January, February, when everything was doing really well. One of the guys I know in crypto, who's actually a CEO of a big exchange, told me, I got to get in this project, and so I didn't even look at it. I just gave him some money, and it turned out to be a scam. It wasn't a ton of money, but that's a mistake, obviously. Let's see. You know, I'm a little bit torn with my early investments into equity. You know, it's like, you know, I bought the majority of my Bitcoin in 2012 and 13 and sold a lot of that Bitcoin along the way to invest in equity projects like Coinbase, Kraken, Circle, things like that. And, you know, with Coinbase, I don't know what you know, they just did their IPO. I don't know what my stock is worth in Coinbase right now, but I'm positive that I would have been better off. You know, my portfolio would have been larger had I just kept my Bitcoin and not invested in these equity projects, you know, and that might be a weird thing to think about for anyone. You know, wow, you invested in Coinbase early on, you know, must be rich from that. It did well, but a lot of my crypto investments did much better in shorter amounts of time. You know, to me, equity is slow and boring. And a lot of my early investments, which I spent a lot of Bitcoin on, you know, were an equity investment. So, you know, I mean, I spent, yeah, a good amount of Bitcoin in 2014, 15, and 16 investing in equity. And I think that was, I can't say it was a mistake. In one respect, it was a mistake. In another one, it wasn't, because it gives a lot of credibility from a fund perspective. Like, now that we're doing this Master Ventures ecosystem fund, people who are considering investing in the fund can look at our investment history and see that, we were involved in the biggest projects in crypto, early on. And that does a lot for reputation. So that has kind of a two sides to it. Yeah, I hope that was good enough for your question, guys. I gotta go. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna tap out. I have to hop on a call here shortly. Thank you, everybody, for participating and joining. And I will catch you guys. And yes, living forever. That's our goal. I will catch you guys. Man, there's good questions. My favorite book probably was one of the most profound books was Rich Dad Poor Dad, quite early. Yeah, but I suggest everyone reads that. Anyway, okay, now I'm out of here. Thank you guys. Cheers. Bye-bye. Good night. Good day. Good afternoon. See ya.